I'm about to start another painting, and there's only 4 more left of that series of 100, the top 100 2021, and it's, again, as I have been doing with all 96, it's going to be a double portrait, and I'm pretty excited about this one that I'm going to do. I usually get excited about every single one that I'll do when I, before I start it, so I, research a little bit, and an interesting part of these paintings is finding the source images, what would make an interesting painting, and so I did find some good ones for this particular song at number 97 in the top 100 2021, which is a flute duet of a child and her mother. They both play a flute that is called a lontai or palauta flute. And this is by the way, from the Philippines. It is Hanu No'o, music from the Philippines. That is the title of the record it comes from, and it's again a folk-based record, and it was recorded and issued in 1953. So from the inside sleeve of the record, I have a lontai flute player. I'll show it. It's this one right here. It's probably going to be on the left, I'd say, and then on the right is the person who recorded this flute duet, and this is Harold Conklin. And here I have an image of Harold Conklin from 1953 from the Philippines, and this is also a Hanu No'o person to the right of him, and his name is Badu Ihai, and this is the full picture. And so I'm going to single out Conklin, something like this. He was at Yale University, a scholar, and the interesting thing about these two individuals, even in the picture itself with this individual, is that it's kind of a reversal of the object-subject that I've come across so often, because the Hanu No'os, an ethnic group belonging to the Mangayans on Mindoro Island on the Philippines, they are shown with, fully dressed, while Conklin is, in this picture, half naked. So that's kind of a reversal of the exoticism that exists in many of the earlier paintings. So that kind of excites me a little bit. Yeah, what has changed from the last picture that I recorded about a week ago or so, maybe it's 2 weeks already, is the setup in my studio. And so I don't think you could see it from the last video, but what is new now is my music has moved in to my studio, from the house into my studio, and it makes it that the stereo set is brought back to where the records are stored, which was always in this studio. And before I start painting, I'll talk a couple of minutes about my record collection. So here it is again, the setup. In a minute I'm gonna zoom in onto the canvas, and so you can see the progress on my Hanu No'o painting. But I was gonna talk about my records a little bit. So here's my record player. I actually selected a record that I'm gonna play just a section of in a minute. And so this is my wall of paintings that is now almost finished. And if I pan around, my outside door, and here's my record shelves. Sorry for putting it sideways, but I'll show you top to bottom. On top, there's my 45s. The top 4 rows are fairly organized, but the bottom 3 rows, or the bottom 2 rows rather, are not. And this is kind of a mess. And I'm in the process of organizing these and getting rid of a whole bunch of records. I still have another like 500 records in crates. Some of them are like over here in this corner. Some crates, there's some artworks, and there's my CDs. I don't have that many CDs. There's still a whole row of CDs in the living room too. But so this is my music thing. And so Irma in 2017, more than 4 years ago, came in and put this underwater, hence the new drywall, which is like mold resistance, that I put in the bottom 4 feet all the way around. I still have to paint that white and tape it and all that. So I finally done that, like, in the beginning of this year. I had it always, like I had to take out the drywall. So the records, the top 2 shelves, they were all in the water. And so that means that a lot of them were ruined. And so I went through it. I cleaned every single one with vinegar and sunlight to get like rid of the mold. Save the record sleeves as for those that I could and for those that I cared about. But I had to throw like a whole bunch of records out. And still the records that I saved are kind of in dismal condition of these bottom 2 rows. So what I'd like to do now is go through all these records here in these bottom 2 rows and for starters see if they still play and decide what to keep, what I can salvage from it, and what I have to let go of. And it's kind of amazing because I already made a selection, so I worked hard on certain records that I really wanted to keep to get them like cleaned up from the flood. And so now it's part 2, and they're also unorganized. These are all like organized either alphabetically or by record label or other types of like the 45s, 10-inch records are here. These are books with CDs in them, Overflow 45s, a bunch of 78 records are over there. And these are popular music records alphabetically, and then there's different sections. So the bottom 2 rows are all world music and classical music records that I have to go through. And I got my record player moved into the studio yesterday, and yesterday night I kind of started and I went through about like 10 records, and it's kind of amazing like how much I really want to keep, because there's something about them, I got rid of 2, and the interesting thing is that those 2 weren't even like flood damage, but those are 2 that I really don't care about. The other 8, there's all something like this one, for example. It's music and rhythm. It's I don't really like the record, and it's also not badly damaged by the flood, but as you can see, it's also damaged. And the reason why I want to keep this is, well, there's several reasons. First of all, the first song of the record, I don't know if you can see it here, Drums of Burundi, which is the original take from where Lee Stephenson, aka Burundi Black, made this like monster hit in Europe when I was growing up, called Burundi Black. And this is the sample that he used of actual drummers recorded in the field in Burundi. So that is one reason why I want to keep this record. But when I played this record, the second song, Across the River by Peter Gabriel, I don't think I've ever made it to the end of that song. To put it mildly, I'm not a big fan of Peter Gabriel, and there's a bunch of bunch of stuff on this record that I really don't care about, but just for that song I'll keep it. There's also a David Byrne song, and you know I like David Byrne, so it's another reason to keep this record. It's a double record. Here's some more Damage, but also, you know, pictures of there's the Burundi over there. Anyway, keeping it. So then this one, and you can see too, it's also, I have it in plastic to preserve it. I really like the cover, and which is like one reason that I'm keeping it. But really, I don't like the music that's on there. It's all like orchestral, and it's not like, you know, it's Lithuanian. I have other Lithuanian records from like, one from Folkways, that's the real deal, but this is not. A series on Monitor are, they are simply like, you know, commercial for tourism recordings. Still I want to keep it because it's part of a series on Monitor, and I have about 10 or 12 of them, and pretty much like all of those are Eastern European and Russian musics, and so this one is kind of crappy, but I have to just save it because this one that are stuck in the same, also damaged but not as badly, is this record in the same series, and this is Estonia. This is Lithuania. On the Estonian record there are a couple of like really nice recordings on there, and so I you know, these are like some of the records I pulled out yesterday. Here's another one in that same series, East of the Urals, and it's, you can tell it's also badly damaged, but this is definitely also a keeper, you know, part of the series. And I played this record, the whole thing, yesterday, and there's some like jams on there. One that somehow like never. The back is barely legible, that badly damaged. I'm also going to give this, I already, you know, gave it a plastic cover. There it is, that is going to go over. I'm going to play a tune of it, which is the fourth tune on side A, sung by, it's partly wiped out, Resnika, I suppose it's a woman, so Resnika, vocals, folk song, Yakut folk song. And so I'm going to play that. And I don't think, I mean, I got to be careful with playing records on and posting them on YouTube, but somehow I don't think this is very much a... I have to aim it carefully. Let me see what's going to happen here. 1, 2, 3, and this would be number 4. Let's hope that I'm... It's the very end of 3. It's a choral. And so this volume... No, I misaimed it, I think. Oh no, here it is. Here it comes. And so this record is... This gotta be it. Like I said, the orchestra is awful, but the song is beautiful, and it's wonderfully sung too. So it's folk music of Siberia and Central Asia. I'm sure this song, it's in horrible condition, but too, you know, you can't replace a record like this because it's just that obscure and old. It's probably from the 60s. Anyway, that was that. We're going to start with paint immediately. I'm going to make a couple of adjustment sketches in pencil. Got a number 2 and a number 4 pencil, and I'm just going start sketching it lightly and enhancing it with the softer pencil. Fairly smoothly. There it is already. Not bad in terms of gesture. And this is often like important to do, because painting is a much slower process and it's kind of hard to get the liveliness of a certain action, especially when there's an action involved, like playing an instrument. So just the one. And see in terms of composition if anything needs to change before I go over it in a layer of paint. This is I'm gonna just make a line drawing over top of the pencil drawings. And forgive me for being bare-chested. I figured Conklin is subject, and I am the subject, so I guess I identify with him. I'm not bearded, but I have glasses. And as you probably can see, I changed the drawing of Conklin a little bit, grew in size a little bit, the feet are going to go off the page. So that's what I'm going to do. Pants. Water bits and pants. There, the foot is going to go off the page. Flip-flops. holding it back. I'm not sure if I'm going to repeat that, but there it is, lightly. She's holding a bundle of sticks too. I don't know. From what I read is that there is hardly any stratification. Yeah, there's not like a really you know, there's not a power structure. Everybody's pretty much equal. So it's kind of nice. There's no warfare either between the different Mongolians groups. At least there's no, you know, tradition of fighting whatsoever. I have not researched yet how they're faring today, which I also am planning on doing at least before I write these the commentary to these paintings that I do with every single painting, and that you can find on Barry's Top 100.blogspot.com. So yeah. So also, you know, I'm becoming a fashion researcher too. All these images, I mean, they're from the 50s. They're all black and white. I don't have a color printer anyway, but they're becoming, you know, they're becoming black and white anyways. But most of these are black and white pictures, and so I do kind of, as part of my research before I paint, I do kind of look at more, you know, contemporary images of the culture, and so I did that too with the Honey No, just to kind of see, you know, what kind of colors this dress, and I wrote it here, you know, blue, gold. These are the jewelry, and the headbands are red and orange colored with a band of like ochre. And so it's just recently in the previous couple of paintings I had some interesting color choices to make as I, you know, looked at men's fashion from like the 1960s, and had some multicolored ties that I painted. It was kind of fun to do. I mean, make up these colors, of course, but at the end I can choose my own colors. But some of these, a little bit in terms of respect for the cultures that I present, I want to be, you know, historically, culturally, somewhat accurate. I've now shifted from turpentine to my medium, a mixture of linseed oil, Damar varnish, and turpentine. And I'm going to introduce a background color now, and I'm well used. I have kind of equal negative spaces everywhere, and so I'm going to make the screen green, blue, ochre. That's my plan, those four, so let's see how that goes. Slightly bigger brush. Yeah, we'll add a little bit of an ochre to the green and some white. Yeah, nice. I am not going to draw the bags, paint the bags. I've decided just to figure without the same brush, not that picky. Of course, it's going to get very dirty because it's picking up these pencil lines. Sky blue. December 17th today, and it's about noon right now. It's a wonderful day. So it's like 86, which is Fahrenheit, which is like 30, which is exactly 30. Brush is almost going to the trash. It's not holding up very much anymore. So I continued to paint on it, but you can hardly see the difference from where I left off. And this is, I kind of filled all the unpainted areas with the light colored paint, so that everything would have paint. Let it dry for a few hours. It isn't completely dry, but dry enough for for me to work on it. I'm gonna record a little bit more with some black outlines. And then after which it's just going to be tedious work, and that I can't really, it's going to take me like a couple of hours worth of like finagling with it. I'm not going to record that, so I'll record a little bit now. Black, I'm just adding the main details in here. Something like that. It's much later in the day now, and as I said, I've worked for a couple hours on some of these, a bit more detail, a bit more definition. It's getting like impossibly wet right now to work on it, so I'll just do a tiny little bit more and finish the video, and then after it's all dry tomorrow, I'm just gonna go back into it and with some like distinct highlights and give it some oomph. Details is what's left.